Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week we talk about the Royals and the Oscar nominations. We end with our weekly feature, The Comments of the Week. The stories, photos, and tweets we talk about can be found at Celebrity.com/podcast under episode 115. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra, I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
So we're gonna only have one episode out next week because my kid has a thing for school the following weekend. So we'll be back on March 5th. I know that we're taking off a week early, so sorry about that.
No, I think people understand. And we were always going to mess with the schedule a little bit depending on the award season. So
yes. And then the Oscars are the 27th, so we'll probably be off around that as well. But we'll see as it gets closer to that. We'll let you know.
And we're going to talk about the Oscar nominations a little bit later on in the podcast.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that happened for me, I haven't watched anything besides tennis this week. And the big thing in tennis is that my favorite tennis player retired this week because his body was broken.
Oh, it's sad the way you phrase that.
Well, it's
his
true,
body
though.
was broken.
His name is Juan Martín del Potro. He's a big, beautiful Argentinian man. He's 33 years old. And in 2018, he was playing in Shanghai, and he tried to change directions rather suddenly, and he slipped, and he fractured his knee. And it started this whole huge dramatic process of like multiple surgeries and trying to come back and like getting re-injured. And I mean, he's dealt with huge injuries all of his career, but it was just sad. He can't figure out a way to come back without pain.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I saw that you were tweeting sad cry emojis about him.
It was really sad.
He's a beautiful man.
He's beautiful, and everyone just says he's the sweetest guy in the world. All the players loved him. All the top guys like Roger Federer, they hated facing him on court.
Oh, because he was so good.
Yeah, and he was so powerful too. Yeah.
I'm sorry that he's retiring. Maybe he'll get some good sponsorships or something like that, or he could be a commentator.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll be offered commentary positions or probably like director of various tournaments in South America, I would assume. I don't know if he'll be interested in all of that. I think he just needs to take some time for himself without focusing on, am I going to be able to come back? Do I need another surgery?
Yeah, that could really break your body down.
Mm-hmm. And he's been very open about how it's been just tough on him mentally.
Yeah.
To always think that, maybe this surgery will be the one to change everything.
Yeah, that's kind of relatable in a lot of ways, always waiting for the next thing.
Yeah. He's been very open about his mental health and how he's struggled over the years. He's just a sweetheart. He's a big bear. So that was depressing. And that just brings up who else is going to retire over the next year? Is Serena? Will Roger Federer retire?
All the greats.
Yeah, tennis is going to fundamentally change when those historic great players retire. It's just going to be a whole different thing.
I'm sorry that he's retiring.
It's okay.
I gotta say before we talk that there's crazy, creepy wind at my house. It sounds like ghost wind. It's like, whoo. So if you guys hear any of that, I'll try to keep it out of the audio, but it probably is going to bleed through a little bit.
Yeah, and if you hear something weird, it's the fucking neighbor chickens.
The rooster. I hear that rooster all the time.
And I have the house open because it's so nice today. So
okay.
The rooster might be a little bit louder.
The last time we talked was a couple weeks ago, and I said I was going to go hiking with my then friend who asked me to go. What happened was I did go hiking with her, and we rode from a park and ride in her car to the trail. And I said, well, we should wear masks in the car, which turned out to be a good idea because she told me Thursday she had tested positive for COVID. We had gone hiking Sunday. And then she told me in her message that she felt sick Monday and got a test Monday. Like,
That's
if you
fucked
feel
up.
sick the day after we hang out, you have to tell me she is not my friend anymore. Like, I'm not hanging out with her again.
Like, I mean, I understand, like, pre-pandemic, if you, like, feel a little bit rotten and you're like, oh, I'm not going to tell anyone. But, like, we're in a pandemic. If you feel bad, if you feel like, oh, I might have something, you tell people that you are around.
Yeah, it was the very next day she got tested, so I'm suspecting she felt a little sick the day before too. So first of all, I had a hard time with her. Like, I'm trying to go out and do things with people in public who I trust, and there's like very few of them. And she has a Republican boyfriend, and she both sides politics, and I tell her that only works because we're white people. And the fact that she's like, oh, I understand. She'll say that, right? Which is fine. At least she's not fighting me. But that kind of made me mad afterwards. And I'm like, wow, I don't know if I can keep talking to her. And then she did this. I'm like, okay, that decides it for me.
Did she vote for Youngkin?
I don't think so. Like, I've gone hiking with her quite a few times. And she says she's a Democrat, but she tries to get along with everybody, blah, 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 which is kind of bullshit,
Yeah.
And she told me she really liked Pete Buttigieg, and she voted for him in the primaries. I was like, okay, he's pretty smart. He's, a good Secretary of Transportation or whatever. So I don't know, right? I don't know what her deal is. I think she votes for Democrats, but thinks it doesn't matter. Who knows?
Yeah, that's why you should never hang out with anyone.
It's hard to make friends in person, and I've been trying,
I know.
and it's like, oh, fuck. Especially in our area.
Yeah, it is.
So speaking of people who had COVID and hung out with other people, today is Thursday, and we just heard that Prince Charles has COVID for the second time. Now, he's vaccinated and boosted, but there's plenty of pictures of him last night before he tested positive. He was at the British Asian Trust event, and there's like a ton of pictures of him in people's faces, breathing on them, shaking their hands. Nobody's wearing a mask.
Yeah, and like, back in 2020, Charles was one of the first ones to make a big deal about how people shouldn't shake hands anymore. And, he was really trying not to get in people's faces, especially after he got COVID the first time. And then, like, at some point last year, he was like, I'm tired of that shit. So I'm just going to start getting in people's faces again. I'm going to stop wearing a mask. It's like all of a sudden British MAGA. But yeah, he was like really getting in a lot of people's faces. And when I looked at those photos last night as I was working on one of the Camilla stories, I was like, God, Charles looks like shit. I was like, he looks really pale, and like he looks like clammy and sweaty. There's something going on with him. Turns out he had COVID.
Oh my gosh.
I bet you anything that he was symptomatic at that event. Like that he actively felt like shit.
I wouldn't be surprised. And then he was probably drinking and just talking to everybody like everything is normal.
And how does Camilla not have it? I don't know.
That's bizarre. So before that big story, all we heard was like Camilla's going to be Queen Consort. And that story broke
over the weekend.
Yeah, right before the Queen's Accession Day, which was February 6th. So that came out Saturday or so. And the Queen, in air quotes, released a statement saying that when Charles becomes king, quote, I know you will give him and his wife Camilla the same support that you have given me. It is my sincere wish that when the time comes, Camilla will be known as Queen Consort as she continues her own loyal service.
Yeah, all right. So Charles has been working on this ever since he married Camilla, basically. Mm-hmm. When he married Camilla, he worked out this deal with the Queen and with, I don't know, the Lord Chamberlain and whoever else, that when the time came, Camilla would be styled Princess Consort, just as a nod to Diana, that Diana was the one who was supposed to be Queen Consort, and that people still had very strong feelings about Camilla, negative feelings about Camilla. So that's why she was going to be Princess Consort. And then he's just spent the last 17 years, basically working against that and saying, no, actually, she's going to be declared queen when I'm declared king and all of this stuff. And so to place those words in Queen Elizabeth's mouth, I mean, that's been his campaign for 17 years. And I don't even think that Queen Elizabeth wrote that.
No.
This was just all Charles. It was Charles from start to finish.
And like everything they do, they show their hand with all the bullshit follow-up stories after.
Yeah.
Like they could have done that one thing and everyone would have been like, okay, that's stupid, but whatever. And they're like, oh, Camilla's going to wear the Queen Mother's crown with the giant stolen diamond from India. And then there are all these stories. Oh, Charles told his sons first that Camilla was going to be named queen. And it's just outrageous how many follow-up stories there were.
Yeah, well, again, this is something Charles has been working on forever. I think he's very proud of the fact that he got the Queen's signature on this. Even in the follow-up stories, they said that Charles had worked it out in 2019 where he changed the coronation language to reflect the fact that Camilla was going to be Queen Consort.
So he's just waiting on the right moment and he thinks this is it.
Right. And like, how big of a pussy is Charles that like he has to hide behind his mother on this, that he uses his mother as a human shield because he knows that public opinion is not on his side.
Yeah. Oh, it was what the Queen wanted. When she passes, they're going to be doing that like they did with Philip.
Yeah.
The Queen would have wanted this.
They'll justify everything with, well, the Queen would have wanted it this way. Exactly.
And then there are so many think pieces about it. Like, was it a wise political move by the Queen? Will the British public accept Camilla as Queen? And they're even hyping Camilla in People magazine.
That was the strangest one. Like, I understand when British media outlets feel the need to pour sugar all over this bullshit. That's their meal ticket. That's the reason they exist. And Charles and Camilla are all they have. I understand hyping them to this crazy level, but People magazine doesn't need to get into the business of trying to placate and promote Camilla as, you know, the next Diana or whatever. Those People magazine articles were really sketchy.
They read very much like the British press, so you can tell that they're getting the talking points straight from
Clarence House. Yeah.
Clarence House, yeah. And it's all about Camilla supporting Charles, and they said he gets Eeyore moods and she's there for him and all this stuff.
And that Camilla isn't worried about certain constituencies. Yeah, pro-Diana constituencies.
Exactly.
People of a certain generation who fucking hate Camilla's guts and will never forgive her for what she did.
And the more they try and shove her at the public, the more people remember that.
Right. And that was always going to be the quandary for Charles and Camilla. You know, Camilla, she's definitely done some good work. And I think that she's an intelligent woman who cares deeply about certain issues and all that kind of stuff. But when you start to get smug about it, and when you start acting like your shit doesn't stink, people are like, hey, wait a second, weren't you a degenerate homewrecker?
Degenerate homewrecker. That's a good way to introduce our segment from Zoom. And this is Zakiya, Susan, Ashley, and Karen.
Susan, what do you think about Camilla?
We knew that was coming, right? But I'm interested in the reaction because, yeah, I mean, I really haven't gotten a sense of the reaction from people, whether they're just like, oh, come on, give it up already with this woman. Because, I mean, we knew that was going to happen. And obviously Charles is in charge over there now, so.
I was surprised it happened. I didn't think it would.
You mean ever or before the Queen died?
Before the Queen died, yes.
To me, this is even more proof that, as you said, he's in charge and he's pretty much leading the way on what is happening. I'm sure he wrote that missive she put out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, did she know she wrote that letter?
Someone put that in front of her and she just signed it.
It's interesting on Twitter. So since the announcement, people were putting up old stories about Camilla. It was one tweet where it was Diana's interview. They put up pictures where Diana was 19, Camilla was 31. And Diana was saying, you know, she befriended me.
So yeah, it's like Zakiya was saying, the more they try to push Camilla at us, the more people are saying, look at what she did to Diana.
Right. And I brought this up in our document that Camilla basically chose Diana for Charles. Camilla was the one who said, you know, Diana's the one. She's the one that you should marry, because Diana was so young, and Camilla found her mousy and thought Diana would be very easily manipulated, and that Camilla and Charles could just carry on as before.
I hope that when The Crown comes out, like later this year, I don't want the Queen to pass soon or anything like that, but I hope that things line up well for the Crown to remind people, is what I'm saying, you know.
You know how Charles has been banging on and on and on about Harry's memoir and what the potential damage and fallout could be. Charles better keep his eye on the ball, because the Crown is going to do some serious fucking damage this season.
Harry's going to be nicer than the Crown.
Yeah, probably. I mean, Harry's going to have to take the heat for the Crown too, because, the Netflix deal, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah. So dumb.
But, like, I don't think Peter Morgan is fucking around with this season. No. I really don't.
It'll be a good one.
It's going to be all about the divorce and the War of the Waleses.
So this week, Kate did a lot. Like, for her, it was a lot. And she visited a parental support project in London called PACT. And she was around little kids without a mask. You didn't have to do this, but I could tell that you were holding back on that story, because she was like breathing on little kids. Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, Kate hasn't been wearing a mask hardly at all lately. I can't even remember the last time she wore a mask.
Nope. She wears those little tiny fabric masks that don't fit her. And then her office issued like a little book report afterwards saying what they do. And it's like...
It was just a word salad. Her office statement made it worse.
Yeah. That's very typical of them.
And what she did was good. Like, what she did was highlight a really great community organization that supports working class families. So make it about that, and make it about fundraising so that communities know that they can offer support in this way to working class parents.
Or to give their URL or something like the Sussexes do.
Yeah, like Kate's office could have said, this is a great organization. It shows so much of what we're working with at early years, and here's where people can donate. Exactly.
Yeah.
She did not do that.
No, they need to copy Meghan and Harry that way, too. So William also made a one-day diplomatic trip to Dubai. It was very lightweight. It's kind of like Kate is going to go to Denmark sometime this month, and I'm sure it'll be very similar to what William just did. Just meet with people.
Well, not to give Kate too much credit, but I think her trip to Denmark is going to be longer. It's going to involve like at least cute outfits, or at least flag cosplay. Like, she'll get a new wig. You know, we'll get some stuff to talk about. William's Dubai trip is just him showing up in the same old outfit he always wears, and just like flapping his hands and making an ass out of himself.
Yeah, but what else can he do? It's better.
I loved how everyone was talking about how hot he probably was, and now he needed to put sunblock on his little bald head.
Yeah, he should have worn a hat or something. So Harry hasn't said anything about Queen Consort Camilla, right? But he did make a statement for the UK's National HIV Testing Week. And he referenced his mom and his mother's legacy as an HIV and AIDS patient advocate during the AIDS pandemic. So that's really speaks where we know where his allegiances lie, to his late mom, but like he didn't have to say anything.
Yeah, it was just brilliant that was his first public statement after the British media spent days saying, when is Harry going to say something? And he's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to call one of my rugby buds and we're going to talk about HIV.
Yeah, for an important cause, just like his mom. They focus on the causes, Harry and Meghan do.
I thought that was perfect for Harry.
It
was just the timing and everything. It was just great.
All right, well, let's talk about the Oscar nominations. So we got the Oscar nominations this week, and there were some surprises and snubs. And the biggest snub was probably Lady Gaga for House of Gucci, because she was doing the most in her campaign to say she was suffering for her art, and she hired a psychiatric nurse to be with her and all this stuff. And maybe she was really having a hard time, but she was also really emphasizing that in her interviews about it.
She went way over the top, and I think she turned a lot of people off, a lot of Academy voters off, with her, woe is me, this is the worst any actor has ever suffered for their art kind of way.
Yeah, that strategy backfired on her. And then she did issue a statement where she congratulated the hair and makeup team, and that was the only, I mean, she knows them because she was working with them pretty closely, and that was the only nomination that House of Gucci had for the Oscars.
I was surprised that Gaga was snubbed. I was more surprised that Gaga was snubbed and Kristen Stewart got a nomination. That doesn't make that much sense to me. I thought Kristen Stewart was good. I didn't think that like Kristen's performance is so much better than Gaga's. For Gaga to be snubbed like that, it felt personal. It wasn't about the work.
Oh, okay. And Kristen Stewart has talked smack about the Oscars, but she seems like she's trying to campaign in earnest this year.
Yeah, like she never really talked smack about the Oscars. She just said that Oscar campaigning was quote unquote embarrassing.
Okay.
They punished her by not giving her a SAG nomination or a BAFTA nomination. Which is the funniest fucking thing. Because right after she said it was embarrassing, she went right back out and started campaigning.
She tried some more.
She was like, oh, fuck it. I got to go back out there and do it.
Well, it's her job. I mean, do your job. And Nicole Kidman got nominated for Being The Ricardos, which is okay.
Oh, God. We could devote the whole entire podcast to how much I fucking hate Being The Ricardos. And I don't want to hear from, like, Being The Ricardos stans.
They don't have any stans. They don't listen to us anyway.
The movie does have stans. I swear to God, Amazon must be paying people to like go into comment sections and be like, no, her Lucy was really good.
I would not be surprised.
All right, you haven't seen the entire thing yet.
I didn't even watch any of it.
All right.
I've been watching trash that I like.
It's not unwatchable, and it's not completely boring, like mind-numbing. I hate this. Yeah. There are moments of entertainment, like, and there's some moments where the script is very sharp and interesting, but none of it works. It works at absolutely no level. Nicole's performance does not work. Okay. Javier Bardem is playing a brilliant person who does not resemble Desi Arnaz whatsoever. Yeah. J.K. Simmons is great in it. I have no idea if that person was really that way. So sure, yeah. Fine. The script is a mess. It's a train wreck. Okay. The makeup and hair was awful. Like, the movie is just bad. And I don't understand why they went out of their way to nominate 3 of the actors.
The movie did not get nominated in either the director or the best picture category, which is good.
Which is fine, because Aaron Sorkin is an asshole about a lot of things. So that's good at least. But
it got the 3 acting noms. But the thing is, those are 3 fabulous actors in other contexts.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, fabulous, I don't know if you'd say Nicole Kidman is fabulous, but she's good in what other movies she's done. And she already has an Oscar because she wore a prosthetic nose, right?
Nicole Kidman is legitimately good in The Hours. Like, for real. She was legitimately good in Moulin Rouge and dozens of other movies. She's not good in Being The Ricardos.
All right.
But so I could really go on and on about that.
We got that. You really like The Lost Daughter. I haven't seen that yet because I thought it would be a bummer, and I've been trying to avoid bummer movies. I will watch the nominated movies. We have plenty of time because it's coming out later, so I will watch the nominated movies. So you really like The Lost Daughter, and that got a bunch of nominations, but did not get nominated for Best Director for Maggie Gyllenhaal.
No, but she did get nominated for screenplay, and I think that she's probably going to win for adapted screenplay.
Okay.
I thought her script was very good. I don't know how it compares to the other nominees.
Yes.
I think she'll probably be the leading contender for that.
Okay.
The movie is kind of a bummer, but it's definitely worth it for the performances. It's one where all of the performances click. Olivia Colman is brilliant. Jessie Buckley is brilliant.
Nice.
I even like Dakota Johnson in it. Ed Harris is in it a little bit.
Oh, I like him.
Yeah. He looks like death warmed over. I think he's supposed to, though.
Okay.
I liked The Power of the Dog. I had to turn it off at one point just because it was upsetting.
It's an upsetting movie, yeah.
I put it back on. The rest of the movie is very good. It ends on a really great note.
Okay. I looked up the spoilers. I've only seen like 20 minutes of it or so, and all the abusive behavior by Cumberbatch's character kind of turned me off from it. But I can see where it's a great movie and where there's excellent performances. So far, the only movies I've seen are Belfast. I really like Belfast. I watched 40 minutes of Don't Look Up, and that's it. I'll watch the other movies. So here's a clip from Zoom where we talked about the Oscar nominations and what we've watched.
I watched Nightmare Alley the other night, but I can't recommend it. I thought it was very slow. And it's like two movies in one. One movie is 1 hour, and then the next movie is the next hour and a half.
What movie was this, Susan?
Nightmare Alley.
Okay.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper stars in it. And Cate Blanchett is in it. And Rooney Mara. There's no movie I really loved this year.
There honestly haven't been that many great movies. I feel like they were really stretching it this year. I mean, they gave Being The Ricardos nominations. Like,
oh, come on. Yeah.
The only thing I liked was Encanto, but I'm still pissed that we don't talk about Bruno didn't get nominated. Now, don't get me wrong. Dos Oruguitas is a beautiful song, but it's like they went for the like run-of-the-mill Disney type song to nominate, which is kind of bugging.
I think television has probably been a lot better than movies because it just hasn't been any movie that like, oh, I want to see that. I want to see that's really bad.
So yeah, Susan didn't really like Nightmare Alley. She said that was too long. And a lot of people liked Encanto, but like Karen is saying, there's not a lot of movies I want to see. Like there's nothing where I'm really into it, but I do want to see Drive My Car. And that didn't get hardly any buzz. I only saw a TikTok video where a guy was raving about it before it got nominated for an Oscar. And I should have watched it back then. I looked it up and I was like, oh, that looks good. And then I kind of forgot about it.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal that Drive My Car got nominated for Best Picture. And people are already comparing it to Parasite. Like, oh, maybe it'll make this magic like Parasite run. I don't think it will. I don't think it's been hyped enough. I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, it hasn't. Barely heard about it. And I'm online all day, you know.
Now, something that was hyped a lot and only got a foreign language or foreign film nomination was The Worst Person in the World.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard a lot about
I'm
that.
dying to see that. I can't wait to see it. I haven't seen West Side Story.
Me either.
I haven't seen Licorice Pizza.
We haven't seen Licorice Pizza. P.T. Anderson is hit or miss. Like, his movies are pretty good, but they're kind of long.
Yeah, I love him. I think he's one of the great American auteurs. I feel like it's going to be so sad for me to watch Philip Seymour Hoffman's son.
Oh.
He looks so much like him, Cooper Hoffman.
I didn't realize he was in it.
I tried watching The Tragedy of Macbeth, and I had to stop it because it was irritating me. It was cool, though. It looked cool. It sounded cool. Denzel seemed awesome.
Yeah,
but
he is. I didn't see that.
I'm not going to watch Tick, Tick, Boom. That's not my flavor at all. I'm not going to watch it.
I heard it was good. I'll watch some of it. I'll see. Maybe my kid will want to watch it with me.
Oh, I think Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, I think she might be a sleeper.
Okay.
Maybe she could end up pulling it out, especially with Gaga out. I think maybe Chastain might get those votes.
That'd be cool. I'll check out that movie. I haven't seen that either.
Yeah, people will feel like it's her time. It was a passion project for her. She bought the rights.
Yes.
She produced it. She put the film together. She gave a great performance. I think it's one of those kind of, okay, let's give it to Chastain.
I'm looking to see who else is nominated this year. Yeah, she does seem like the natural choice because Coleman already has an Oscar.
So does Kidman. So does Penelope.
Yeah. And who's going to vote for Kristen Stewart? Nobody. No offense.
Well, I think she might get some nominations, especially from the younger Academy voters.
Yeah.
But I think voters will look at Kristen Stewart and Spencer and say, do we really want to give her an Oscar for this performance?
Yeah, and she's young. She's got plenty of time left.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think Chastain is maybe the person there. And I think for Best Actor, it'll probably be Will Smith for the same reason that it's his moment.
Yeah, it's his time.
That he hasn't won before. He's been nominated before. It was a good movie that people liked, and it was about a positive thing.
So Cumberbatch, he doesn't have an Oscar, does he?
No, and he's been nominated before. So I think the best actor race is between Cumberbatch and Will Smith.
All right, let's move on to the comments of the week. So my comment of the week is on the post about Dax Shepard filling the water-cooled mattress in his bedroom with Kristen Bell with a protein shake. And she told this asinine story about how their kids were sleeping in their bedroom on the floor and something stank really bad and they didn't know what it was. And then they figured out that Dax had put a protein shake in their bed. It's ridiculous.
I don't get why she always tells those stories.
I mean, they admitted they don't watch their kids and then they went on about it. So I don't know. And I don't know. And they're the ones who fought for the no paparazzi, which was great. You know, they helped a lot of their colleagues.
They're just constantly telling all about these children.
We know that their daughters had worms. We know the precocious things they say. I mean, it's pretty bad. So OriginalLaLa said, this sounds either totally made up for attention or something is going on with Dax. Water and a shake are not easily confusable.
It's just kind of gross. All right, so my comment of the week is from the Adele post. So Adele was at the Brit Awards and she was wearing a very elegant Armani gown and she was dripping in diamonds and she wore a big diamond ring on her left hand. There's just been something really off with Adele. And I thought that we were going to get a new, different, mature Adele, especially with all the promotion around her album. She just seemed like she was in such a better place, that she was happy. And it's just been nothing but drama for the past few months.
Yeah.
And so Anita wrote, Adele is a beautiful woman. I like the look, elegant cut, cleavage, open, but not too revealing. She said, but I think she looks not happy or content, not at peace. Not really unhappy, but whatever is bothering her inside is showing. And yet, that's what it is.
She looked kind of pissed off. I think she must be having a different makeup person when she's in the UK because her makeup wasn't blended right. And it looked too harsh. She always wears a lot of makeup, but it's blended perfectly, so she pulls it off. But at the Brit Awards, her makeup was too harsh.
I think she likes that real, drag queeny hard makeup. She does.
Yeah, I just wasn't blended.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of different things are going on with her. And I think part of it is her relationship drama. I don't believe her vague denials about, it's not about Rich Paul. Rich says hi.
When she quit her Vegas.
Yeah, I think she has relationship drama. I think she has Las Vegas drama. I don't know what's going on with her. I hope we find out because shit's not right.
Aw.
Well, I mean, I love Adele. She's rich. She's beautiful. She's got a great voice. She'll figure a lot of shit out. She's a very intelligent woman. I think people miss that about her, how smart she is and how conscious she is of her image. Something's not going right for her.
I think with the Vegas show, just from what I was reading, there are too many moving parts and it was just really frustrating for her and she finally just didn't go through with it. So she might be having relationship drama too, but it also sounds like things weren't working out the way she wanted them to.
Yeah, for sure. But to cancel the entire show on 24 hours notice?
Yeah. Yeah, that's something. All right. Well, thanks for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again. Poor Adele.
Yeah, something's going on with her.